You know, a promise is usually this, like, completely weightless thing. Just a few words exchanged, right? A vow whispered in the dark, maybe a handshake.
Right. It's usually just an abstract concept.
Exactly. It's abstract. But in the tabletop role-playing session we're unpacking today for you, a promise isn't abstract at all. It is, it's incredibly heavy, like literal physical weight.
Oh, absolutely. The literal weight of the dead.
Yeah. In this deep dive, we're following a group of adventurers dragging themselves through this shadow-haunted crypt. And they are physically carrying the dead body of their fallen friend Leona, along with the fragile ancient bones of two ghost children, Rose and Thorn.
Which is such a powerful image.
It really is. We are looking at an absolute masterclass in contrasting visceral, gag-inducing horror with the most profound, quiet tenderness. So let's look at how these heroes drag this literal promise through a nightmare to give two children peace, only to find themselves trapped in a land that absolutely does not let things go.
To really grasp the gravity of the notes and transcripts from this session, which, by the way, is titled Out of the Dead House, we have to look at the economy of sacrifice.
Right, the toll it takes.
Exactly. Leona didn't just happen to fall in combat during the previous session. She was presented with this horrific ultimatum. Basically, sacrifice the soul of little Rose to save her own life.
And she said no.
She refused. 3 separate times, as the darkness was literally closing in, she flat out refused to trade a child's soul for her own survival.
That is just incredible.
It really sets the stakes.
Huh?
This entire session is the fallout of that one choice. It is entirely about the surviving party members paying the toll to keep the promise that Leona died for.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before they can even think about burying their dead friend and these children, they have to survive the physical, rotting corruption of the house itself.
Which is no small feat. The environment is actively hostile.
Right. And in the middle of this awful cult lair beneath the floorboards, they stumble onto a completely unexpected element. I'm looking at the campaign notes here. And they find a prisoner chained to a serpent-carved bed.
Yeah, this is such a great moment.
It's a grizzled kobold, right, stripped to rags, covered in these methodical torture scars. How does a tortured prisoner suddenly become a vital asset to a team of adventurers in the middle of a dungeon?
Well, by weaponizing his own survivor's guilt, basically.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so this is Gish Lorbar, or Gish. He is a veteran soldier, and despite the sheer physical torment he's endured, he just hasn't broken psychologically.
He's still a soldier.
Exactly. When the party finds him, he is sitting bolt upright with absolute military discipline. But what elevates this from a simple rescue mission is the narrative connection.
The mentor reveal.
Right. Gesh was Leona's mentor. He is the legendary master she was always telling stories about. And when he learns that his student died in the very dungeon he was being held captive in, he doesn't collapse.
Which you would expect, right?
Totally. But he channels that immense grief into his tactical training.
Which is wild to think about. It's like finding, I don't know, a broken, battered martial arts master locked in a basement. And instead of needing a hospital, he methodically picks up a sword to go to war.
It's so badass.
And the devastating irony is the weapon itself. He arms himself with the great sword the party had been carrying, the very graduation present he gave Leona years ago.
He is literally taking up her blade to finish her mission.
Right.
That environmental storytelling is just brilliant. He takes up the mantle because they immediately step into the final horror of the death house.
Oh man, the beast below.
Yes, the cult's ultimate creation that all the letters and warnings had been hinting at.
So I see in the notes they confront this beast, but it turns out to be an infant. Walter Durst, the hidden third child of the family. I have to admit, I'm a little confused here. How does a literal baby pose an apocalyptic threat to a group of heavily armed, magic-wielding adventurers?
Well, it comes down to the grotesque mechanics of how this cult operated. The Durst family was so obsessed with immortality and dark power that they couldn't just create a monster. They needed a power source.
Oh, God.
Yeah. They took their own infant, Walter, and used his pure innocence as the battery for a massive, hulking flesh golem.
That's sickening.
The visual is horrifying. It is this towering corpse creature wading through greasy black water. The adventurers aren't just fighting a baby, you know. They are fighting an abomination. And to stop it, they have to physically tear open its rib cage to reach the infant trapped inside that's driving the creature.
The mechanics of the fight you just described, they translate into pure desperation in the transcript. I mean, One party member, Heliax, is bleeding out in the film.
He was so close to death.
Moments away, slipping into unconsciousness, and he pulls off a 1 in a million miraculous recovery right on the brink, like a natural 20, fueled by sheer adrenaline and willpower.
Just an epic tabletop moment.
Right. Meanwhile, you have Gesh, this traumatized old kobold, leaping across the black water. And he strikes with such precision and fury that he methodically dismantles the creature's ribcage, like a 57-point strike.
He is fighting through the pain of his own torture to protect these complete strangers.
And it ends with Fiad driving a psychic blade directly into the baby to sever the connection.
Which forces us to look at the thematic core of the horror here.
Okay, lay it on me.
What's fascinating here is how Walter represents the ultimate corruption of the biological family. The parents turn their own child into a battery for a weapon. When you pull back and look at the whole picture, Leona sacrificed herself so that Rose and Thorn wouldn't be turned into something like Walter.
I have to ask the moral question, though. They just systematically dismantled a corpse to drive a blade into an undead infant? Is that actually a victory, or is that just a really, really tragic mercy?
It is a tragic mercy, unequivocally. I mean, they aren't saving Walter in any traditional sense.
Right, he's been gone.
Walter the child has been gone for a long time. They are simply ending his desecration. But delivering that tragic mercy to Walter triggers a catastrophic reaction.
An tantrum.
Exactly. By ending the baby's suffering, they robbed the cult's lair of its battery. And without its power source, the house physically and spiritually turns on them.
The environment itself just weaponizes. The grandfather clock starts to chime. The foundations of the house are shaking, the walls are bleeding, and the spirit of the mother, Elizabeth Durst, manifests.
And she is furious.
Shrieking. Her hair is wild. She has this glowing amber shard at her throat, and she screams at them. I'm quoting here, "You starved your children. You deserve this." She tries to burn the party alive in the collapsing hallways.
That scream is pure psychological projection.
How so?
Well, Elizabeth is the one who locked Rose and Thorn in the attic. She let them starve while she worshipped in the basement. Her guilt is so monstrous that she literally cannot process it, so she projects it onto the party.
Oh, wow. So she's blaming them for her own crime.
Yes. She is burning her own house down, just to ensure no one gets to leave with a clean conscience.
The escape itself becomes this psychological gauntlet, because the physical collapse of the house is mirrored by the emotional collapse of the Durst parents.
It's brilliantly paced.
As they're sprinting through these burning, trapped hallways, they hit the main stairs, and blocking their path is the ghostly father, Gustav Durst.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, because he isn't attacking them with fire, right? He is begging the party to just lie down and die painlessly. It is this suffocating, toxic paternalism.
He is offering them the quiet surrender of despair. It's an incredibly dangerous trap because in the moment, it sounds like mercy.
But the trope gets shattered entirely. Fiad, who is physically carrying the bones of the children, calls out to the spirit of little Rose.
Yeah.
And Rose screams at the ghost of her father, "Papa, Papa, let us go."
It's such a gut punch.
It is. It is like being on a haunted house ride, going past all the animatronic monsters doing their spooky routines, and suddenly one of the animatronics just breaks character and starts sobbing from genuine, unbearable family trauma. It completely strips away the gothic horror and leaves you with terrible human tragedy.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that single scream from Rose perfectly contrasts the biological family with the found family.
Oh, that's a great point.
The biological parents consumed their children for power, and even in death, they demand the children stay trapped in the trauma with them. But the found family, Fiad, Heliax, Gesh, and the fallen Leona, they are walking through fire, taking immense physical damage just to carry those children away from the abuse.
Wow.
And when Rose screams, the toxic cycle cracks, Gustav actually breaks. He realizes what he has become.
He steps aside.
He steps aside, giving them the key to survive by telling them, ignore those in front of you. They thrive on fear itself and nothing else.
Taking his advice, they push blindly through the spectral blades, and the room's engulfed in flame, ignoring the illusions designed to terrify them. They burst through the front doors, and for the first time since they arrived, the doors don't slam shut behind them.
They made it out.
They spill out into a moonlit forest clearing, the foliage woods. Behind them, the house groans and folds in on itself into a bottomless pit. The fire is gone. The screaming stops.
The adrenaline completely drops. The setting transitions from this claustrophobic horror to the vast, cold unknown.
Right, the aftermath.
They find shelter in a ruined stone tower for the night, And the beautiful reversal here is that the ghost children, Rose and Thorn, stand sentry all night over the sleeping, battered, living heroes who saved them.
Which brings us to the gray, quiet dawn. For you listening, this is the emotional heart of this entire narrative. Because the tenderness in this sequence is so sharp, it almost hurts more than the horror did.
It's a huge shift in tone.
Yeah, they finally have the time to do what they came to do. They dig 2 small graves in the cold earth. There is no rush. They're entirely unhurried. And the notes focus on incredibly grounding, specific details that restore agency to these victims. Little Thorn, using his small ghost hands to pat the grave soil flat over his own bones. Fiad pulling out her violin to play a gentle hymn.
That hymn is crucial, actually, because the notes specifically mention it is a song Fiad chose to play, not one she was forced to play by the house's curse. It is an act of free will in a place that strips away autonomy.
You have Heliax offering a solemn blessing over Leona, laying her to rest right beside the children she died to protect. Gish sneaking back to the grave for a silent, private prayer alone for his student. The contrast is just staggering. You go from the roaring flames and the screeching guilt of Elizabeth Durst to the quiet sound of a child patting dirt.
And that quiet dignity summons a miracle.
Oh, this part gave me chills.
Throughout this campaign setting, the mists have been this oppressive, suffocating force that surrounds the land. They are a barrier. But in this quiet moment by the graves, the mists part, and Clara steps through.
The nursemaid.
Yes. Clara was the nursemaid who was brutally murdered by the cult in the basement, but she doesn't appear as a bloody, vengeful ghost. She steps out of the fog whole and kind and restored. She walks over to the graves, and she takes the 2 ghost children by the hand to lead them away.
Before they leave, Rose turns to Fiad and says her final words. You were warm. I remember warm now.
Just heartbreaking.
So what does this all mean? It is an unbelievable emotional whiplash. How do you reconcile the visceral nightmare of fighting an undead baby in a basement with the quiet dignity of a child remembering what warmth feels like?
You reconcile it by understanding the cosmic mechanics of this world, a realm called Barovia. Think of Barovia like a cosmic casino where the house always wins.
Okay, I like that analogy.
The mists are the dealers taking your chips. They take travelers, they take hope, they take light, they never give anything back. But this moment, Clara returning to walk those children home to whatever peaceful afterlife awaits them, is an anomaly.
Because of Leona.
Exactly. Leona refusing to save herself wasn't just a brave act. It was like she broke the casino's algorithm. She paid a currency of pure, selfless sacrifice that the mists couldn't process. She forced the environment to pay out, just this once.
It is a promise kept. The kids are at peace. They get to leave the nightmare. But the tragic irony is that the living, well, they don't.
The mists just gave something back, but now the trap closes. The party is going to see exactly what the mists take in return.
So they pack up their camp and hit the road heading west into the valley. And we get this brief, amazing moment of dark comedy that highlights the bizarre nature of their found family.
We needed a laugh at this point.
Right. So Gesh is explaining his backstory, mentioning that he was hired by Leona's noble parents to track her down and rescue her from a kidnapper who took her away from her wealthy estate. Fiad, completely deadpan, just stares at him. Because she is the kidnapper.
Yes.
She's the one who recruited Leona into this adventuring life.
And Fiad even leans into it saying, how dare they? Don't they know her noble family would have risked everything to find her? And Gesh, completely oblivious, admits the family actually sent another, much more expensive hunter, and he was secretly hoping the other guy would never find her so he could claim the glory.
It is a desperately needed moment of levity.
It really is, but Barovia doesn't allow levity to linger.
No, it doesn't.
The environment immediately starts weaponizing their hope against them. The psychological horror sets in through rapid-fire environmental storytelling. First, they find a dead horse on the side of the road.
Creepy, but fine.
Then, they find a human corpse. But the terrifying part isn't the body itself, it is the story the scene tells. This person had walked in a perfect circle, following their own footprints until they literally dropped dead from exhaustion. Their hands are cramped around a compass, and the compass needle just spins endlessly in circles.
Yeah, that visual.
And then, to punctuate the despair, zombies shamble out of the trees to casually eat the corpse.
The spinning compass is the perfect mechanical explanation for where they are. Direction is meaningless here, logic is broken, the ecosystem is designed to drain you of your will to keep moving.
They actually test this mechanic themselves when they hit a literal wall of burning mist blocking the road.
Oh, right, the looping mist.
They approach it smartly, they rope themselves together, they push into the blinding fog, and they walk through this agonizing, suffocating environment for 30 grueling minutes. And when they step out, they are exactly where they started.
Facing the exact same direction.
Message received loud and clear. There is no physical escape.
This raises an important question for you to consider as a listener. How does a party survive in a land that actively feeds on hope? I mean, they just expended a massive amount of physical and emotional energy. They gave a life to save 2 souls. But now they are sealed in an ecosystem designed to trap and digest them.
And the environment immediately throws threats at them to test that resilience. A silent, dread-radiating figure emerges from the fog, flanked by a pack of wolves.
Just walking past them.
He doesn't attack, he just walks past them, projecting this aura of absolute authority. The party wisely steps aside and lets him pass.
Smart move.
Very smart. But shortly after, they walk by a shallow, claw-marked grave, and a werewolf bursts out.
Of course it does.
And this isn't a standard monster encounter. This creature is regenerating. It is half-formed, with one human arm just dangling uselessly, making it a grotesque, chaotic threat. It completely shrugs off Gesh's mundane physical attacks with the great sword.
Which means they have to rely on their bond and their inner light to survive. Physical force just isn't enough in Barovia. Fiat uses her psychic abilities to disrupt the creature's mind. Heliax channels pure, radiant magic, literally weaponizing light and belief in a realm of darkness.
I love that.
And Gesh, falling back on his military discipline, lets out a rallying battle scream that coordinates the entire party. They fight as a unified front, forged by the shared trauma of the Death House. They put the beast down, but it takes a massive toll on their already depleted resources.
As they catch their breath, they crest a hill, and the thick fog finally thins out. They look down into a valley. There is a small, dreary village, and the rooftops are completely crowded with crows, all silently staring up at them. And looming over everything, casting a massive, oppressive shadow over the entire valley, is a castle perched on a cliff.
They are officially sealed in.
It is a breathtaking sequence of events. When you look at the narrative arc we've just explored, it is a flawless balancing act between the grotesque and the sublime. You have the horrific mechanics of a flesh golem in a rotting basement, perfectly counterweighted by the profound grace of Clara returning through the mist to hold 2 children's hands.
Which brings up the most important question. Why should you, the listener, care about this specific story of fictional characters rolling dice?
Because it is a profound exploration of human resilience. It illustrates a truth about how we handle suffocating environments, places, or situations that feel like they loop your footprints back on yourself until you give up.
Right.
In the darkest, most oppressive spaces, small acts of human warmth are not trivial. They are the ultimate acts of defiance. Leona refusing to compromise her morals to save her own skin, a ghostly child remembering what warm feels like, a survivor gently patting the dirt over a grave.
It's beautiful.
In a world built entirely on fear and the consumption of innocence, those small moments of tenderness are the only things that the darkness cannot digest. They are what break the cycle.
It brings us right back to the physical weight of a promise. They carried Leona and the children out of that crypt. They put them in the ground, they paid the toll, and they kept the promise. But I want to leave you with a lingering thought to chew on as we wrap up today's deep dive.
Oh, let's hear it.
The party successfully saved Rose and Thorn from the Death House. The children got to walk away into the mists. But by stepping out of those front doors and pushing into the inescapable looping fog of Barovia, did our heroes just take the children's place? Did they trade freedom for freedom, becoming the land's newest prisoners? And what happens when a land that is fundamentally built to break your spirit encounters a group of people who absolutely refuse to let go of their humanity? We'll have to see. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.